You know that feeling, right? You go to some networking event and you just end up collecting a stack of business cards, hoping one of them might magically turn into a real opportunity? Well, today we're diving into a book that says you should just stop. Seriously. We're going to explore a completely different and frankly better way to think about building your professional life.
The book is Superconnector by Scott Gerber and Ryan Paugh, and you can really think of it as a playbook for tearing down that old, broken model of networking and replacing it with something way more powerful, building genuine, valuable relationships.
Okay, so the book's first big idea is, well, it's a direct command, and it's the foundation for everything that comes next.
And here it is, plain and simple. Stop networking. At least the old kind of networking. The authors argue that the traditional, transactional, what-can-you-do-for-me approach isn't just kind of gross, it flat out doesn't work. It makes you prioritize the number of contacts over the quality of them, and that rarely leads to anything real.
Keith Ferrazzi, who wrote the foreword for the book, just nails that feeling perfectly. He talks about the total lack of sincerity and authenticity, which is exactly why so many of us dread those kinds of events. It's a game where everyone is just looking out for number one, and in a game like that, nobody really wins.
So, if the old way is broken, what's the alternative? Well, the authors introduced this whole new paradigm, a new kind of professional they call the Superconnector.
A superconnector isn't just some person who knows a lot of people. They are a community builder at their core. They get that the real power lies in connecting the right people to create value for everyone involved. And here's the most important part. The book argues this isn't some innate talent. It's a skill that you can actually learn.
And when you put the two side by side, the difference is it's night and day. The old school networker is always thinking, what can I get? They're focused on the quantity of contacts, just collecting business cards and a short-term transactional game. But the superconnector, their first thought is, how can I help? They focus on the quality of relationships, playing the long game to create real mutual value. It's a total shift in motive and mindset.
So what does this actually look like in practice? Well, first off, it's not about being the loudest person in the room. Superconnectors can be introverts or extroverts. The real key traits are things like patience and empathy. They get that people are the most important assets you can have, and they act like information brokers, constantly learning and sharing, knowing that the real reward is a strong, supportive community.
So, to adopt this mindset, superconnectors operate by a few core principles. They aren't complicated, I promise, but they are incredibly powerful. The most important rule of all is what the authors call habitual generosity. This is basically the practice of giving without keeping score, making introductions, sharing what you know, helping people out just because you can. The core belief here is that all that value eventually flows back to you, often in ways you could never predict.
This really drives home that crucial idea. Your value isn't measured by the size of your contact list, but by the impact you have on the people in that list. In the world of a superconnector, helping people is the real currency.
Now, being generous doesn't mean you have to help everyone with everything all the time. That's impossible. The second key principle is the art of selectivity. You just can't be everything to everyone. This is all about being intentional, choosing to invest your time and energy in building deep, meaningful relationships with the right people, instead of spreading yourself thin across hundreds of superficial contacts. It's quality over quantity, always.
Okay, so does all this sound a little theoretical? Maybe a bit too good to be true? Well, the authors themselves are the perfect case study. Their own journey shows these principles in action.
Just take a look at co-author Ryan Paugh's path. He starts out totally miserable in a cubicle, but instead of just trying to network his way out, he starts a blog to help others in the same boat. That one act of generosity leads to a community, which leads to a partnership, then a successful startup, and eventually, it leads to the very introduction that brought the two authors of this book together. They were living this philosophy long before they ever wrote about it.
So what does all of this mean for you? The book's core message is really a powerful challenge to the way most of us have been taught to operate.
Ultimately, the shift is this simple, yet so profound. Stop collecting contacts and start creating connections. You have to move away from being a collector who just hoards contacts like trophies and become a creator of genuine, mutually beneficial relationships.
This just turns that old mantra completely on its head. It's no longer about who you know, it's about who you help. So I'll leave you with a question to think about. Take a moment to reflect on your own approach. Are you a collector, focused on what you can get? Or are you a connector, focused on how you can give? According to this book, the answer to that question could change absolutely everything.